You don't try to intimidate anyone. In fact, you are often the one trying hardest to make people feel comfortable. You soften your voice. You ask the careful questions. You leave space for them to speak, and still, somehow, they tell you later, sometimes years later, that you scared them a little, that you were intense, that they didn't know how to act around you. And the strangest part is that it usually happens with the people you actually liked, the ones you wanted closer, the ones you were quietly hoping would stay. If that has happened to you more than once, this video is going to give you the language for something you've probably carried for a long time without a name. Let's call it the unintentional intensity of the INFJ. It isn't a flaw in your personality. It isn't social failure. It's the natural side effect of how your mind processes another human being. And once you understand the mechanism, you stop blaming yourself for something that was never about being too much. Here's what's actually happening inside you when you meet someone you like. You don't experience them in pieces the way most people do. You don't register their face, then their words, then their tone in separate channels. You take all of it in at once. The micro expression that flickered across their mouth, the slight delay before they answered, the way their shoulders shifted when a certain topic came up, the energy in the room before they spoke and after. Your introverted intuition, what Jung called ni, is constantly weaving these signals into a single, coherent impression of the person in front of you. By the end of a 10-minute conversation, you already have a deeply layered sense of who they are. And then, because you also lead with extroverted feeling, you respond to that impression in real time. You mirror them, you attune to them, you adjust your tone, your pace, your eye contact to make them feel met. This combination is rare. Most people don't experience another person this completely or this quickly. And when they're on the receiving end of it, something happens that no one prepares them for. They feel seen. And being truly seen when you're not used to it is disorienting. The psychologist Daniel Batson, who spent decades studying empathy, distinguished between cognitive empathy, understanding what someone is feeling, and affective empathy, where you actually share the emotional state of the other person. INFJs tend to do both at the same time. You don't just notice that someone is anxious. You feel a faint version of their anxiety in your own body, while simultaneously building a mental model of why they might be anxious. This double channel attention is what makes your presence feel so different from most people's. But here's the part no one tells you. When you give that level of attention to someone, you are giving them something they did not ask for. You are offering a kind of intimacy that most casual interactions don't contain, and the other person can feel it, even if they can't name it. Their nervous system registers. This is more than small talk. This person is reading me. And depending on who they are, that registers as warmth or as exposure. The people who feel exposed are usually the ones who are not used to being seen. They might be people who present a carefully constructed version of themselves to the world, people who learned early that being fully witnessed wasn't safe, people who keep things light because lightness is protective. When your gaze lands on them, even kindly, even softly, some part of them feels like a door has been opened that they didn't agree to open. That's the intimidation they describe later. It isn't that you were aggressive. It's that you were accurate. And accuracy, when it isn't invited, can feel like pressure. There's a second layer to this, and it has to do with your silence. INFJs process internally when something interests you, or when someone interests you. You go quiet. You watch. You listen longer than most people listen. You ask one question and then sit with the answer for a beat too long, because you're actually thinking about what they said, not preparing your next sentence. Stephen Porges, the neuroscientist behind polyvagal theory, has written about how the human nervous system constantly scans for cues of safety and threat, what he calls neuroception, a relaxed face, a steady voice, predictable rhythm of speech. All of these tell the other person's body, you are safe here. But a quiet, watchful gaze, even a benevolent one, can register as ambiguous. The other person's system doesn't quite know what to do with it. Their heart rate lifts slightly. They become aware of themselves. They start to wonder what you're thinking. You weren't thinking anything threatening. You were thinking about how much you liked the way they laughed, but they couldn't see that. All they saw was your stillness. So now you have the full picture. You combine deep observation, real-time emotional attunement, and a long, quiet processing rhythm. And you direct all of it at someone you genuinely like. From the inside, it feels like care. From the outside, it can feel like being studied. This is why it happens most with the people you wanted closer. You didn't intimidate the people you were indifferent to because you didn't bring that level of attention to them. You intimidated the ones you wanted to know. Take a breath here, because the next part matters. You are not too much. You did not do something wrong. Your way of meeting another person is not a defect that needs to be dialed down until you become palatable. It is a specific and coherent way of being with another human. And there are people in the world who have been waiting their whole lives for someone to look at them the way you look at people. The mismatch isn't about you being broken. It's about the fact that most social interactions are designed for surface contact. And you don't do surface contact easily. You can perform it when you have to, but it costs you something. And the people who matter to you tend to draw out your real attention without you choosing to give it. Some of those people will receive that attention as a gift. They'll relax into it. They'll tell you, sometimes years later, that conversation with you was the first time they felt truly understood by anyone. These are your people. You don't have to soften yourself for them. Others will not be ready for it. And that isn't a verdict on you or on them. It's just a difference in capacity for being witnessed at that moment in their life. You can let them go without making it mean anything about your worth. What you can do, gently, is learn the rhythm of your own intensity, not to suppress it, but to release it more slowly with people who need time. You can hold back the depth of your first impression. You can ask lighter questions before deeper ones. You can let your silence be shorter at the beginning, when someone is still learning your face. None of this is about making yourself smaller. It's about giving the other person time to catch up to the way you see them. And with the people who can meet you, let yourself be fully there. Don't dim the attention you brought into the world. It is one of the rarest and most healing things a human being can give to another. You were never intimidating because you were cold. You were intimidating because you were close, faster than they expected. That isn't something to apologize for. That is something to understand, and then carry with a little more gentleness. toward them and toward yourself. If this gave you language for something you felt for a long time, you might find more of that here.